My father was a human trafficker, and my mother was the heiress of a billionaire he had abducted. The day the police came, he fell off a cliff and died during the pursuit. My mother and I were sent back to the Wen family. My mother lost her mind, screaming as she pushed me away. I never gave birth to a child of a human trafficker. Grandfather trembled with anger. The Wen family could never have such a bastard child. They sent me to a boarding school for the elite. The school bully tormented me, forcing me to eat dog food. Your father is a beast, so you only deserve to eat this. I was forced to take a bite, and then I cried. No one told me that dog food could be so delicious. When Sun Lei, the school bully's sidekick, pressed my head into the dog bowl, an enticing aroma of meat wafted straight into my nose. Staring at the salmon and beef in the bowl, I couldn't resist and took a small bite. The next second, my tears plopped right into the bowl. In this lifetime, I've never tasted anything so delicious. Ignoring that my head was still being held down, I buried my face and started eating in big mouthfuls, swallowing my tears along with the rice. Holy shit, Sun Lei was so startled he let go, taking 2 steps back. She actually ate it. The school bully Jiang Yi beside him was taken aback for a moment, then nudged Xiao Xiaopeng with his elbow. Is that dog food of yours clean? The dog hasn't eaten from it, right? No germs, I hope. Why does she seem so out of it? Xiao Xiaopeng was also confused, scratching his head. I watched my aunt make it fresh. To teach her a lesson, I even picked yesterday's leftover salmon and beef. The bowl is new, though. While they were talking, I had already licked the bowl so clean it could reflect my face. Then I looked up at them with moist eyes and asked softly, is there any more? I haven't eaten in 3 days. Jiang Yi kicked over the chair beside him, his face fierce. You're getting addicted to this, aren't you? But I am not afraid. My dad loves to hit me when he's drunk. He weighs 200 pounds, hits hard, and his fists are as big as sandbags. Once, when my mom tried to run away, she was caught, and my dad got so angry he broke over a dozen thorny vines. I held on to my mother, begging him to stop hitting her, but he was already in a frenzy. He picked up a hoe and swung it straight at my head. That time, I was unconscious for 3 days. And I still have a long scar on my forehead. Besides that scar, I have many other injuries on my body. Pinch marks, burns from boiling water, welts from cane whippings. No matter how fierce they were, none could compare to that man. The school beauty Bailu walked by with her tray, rolling her eyes. Are you all stupid? Just throw what you don't like into her bowl. With that, she expressionlessly tossed the broccoli, carrots, and fatty meat from her tray into my dog bowl. The surrounding classmates suddenly understood. Soon, a small mountain piled up in my bowl. I hate eating bell peppers. Here, take it. This shrimp is so fishy. Crab is such a hassle. I don't want to peel it. Pork belly is too fatty. It'll make you sick. I stared blankly at the leftovers piling higher and higher in my bowl. Steamed lobster, whole hairy crabs, glistening braised pork. No, these aren't leftovers. This is my heaven. Are these really all for me? I asked cautiously. My voice as faint as a mosquito's hum. Crazy, she really is an idiot, Sun Lei muttered as he walked away, but before leaving, he tossed a chicken leg into my bowl. Xiao Xiaopeng stared at my bowl for a long time, then turned to Jiang Yi and said, Bro, is that dog food really that tasty? She seems to be enjoying it so much. Jiang Yi gritted his teeth and yelled at me, You're not allowed to leave until you finish it all. Got it. Then she turned and kicked little fatty Zhao. What are you looking at? Want to eat dog food too? After most people had scattered, I picked up that heavy bowl, found a corner, and crouched down. Sunlight streamed through the window, spilling over the pile of rice, making every grain glisten. I grabbed a piece of meat with my hand, stuffed it into my mouth, and scooped up a big spoonful of rice. My cheeks puffed out like a hamster's. When my mother was lucid, she told me she used to play the piano. But all 10 of her fingers were crushed and deformed, so much so that she couldn't even hold my hand. From as far back as I can remember, she was locked in a pigsty, with a long iron chain fastened around her neck. She often screamed like a madwoman, reciting foreign languages I couldn't understand, and then she would cry. Whenever she got the chance, she would run away. At first, she would take me with her when she ran away, because in this family, I wasn't welcome either. I was a girl. And from the moment I was born, I was unwelcome. When I was little, that man always called me Lin Jiannu. At the age of 8, Lin Yongkai took me to register for my household registration. The staff asked for my name, and he impatiently replied, Lin Jiannu. The staff member was incredulous. Are you sure? Once the name is registered, it won't be easy to change. She's just as cheap as her mother. What good name does she deserve? The staff member was so angry that they wrote Lin Xiaoqiao on the paper and asked Lin Yong, "Is this it?" Lin Yong was illiterate and thought it was Jiannu, so he nodded carelessly. I huddled by the counter, keeping my head down the whole time, and only breathed a sigh of relief when I saw the name on the household register. When we left, 100 yuan was slipped into my hand. I looked at the staff member with gratitude, and after walking a good distance, I took advantage of my father's inattention to bow deeply to her from afar. That night he got drunk, and I took the money and keys to find my mother. In the dead of winter, my mother wore only a tattered vest, curled up in a corner shivering, her hair tangled into knots, the skin on her neck rubbed raw by the iron chain, forming thick, dark red scabs. "Mom, take the money and run." I skillfully unlocked the chain and handed her the money. She stared at the banknote, her eyes blank. Having been isolated from society for too long, she no longer recognized the new version of the currency. Suddenly, she glared at me with suspicion. "You're lying to me, you're his child. You must be lying to me." At that time, her mental state was unstable, and her words were often incoherent. I coaxed and persuaded her until I finally managed to get her out the door. But we hadn't run far before we ran into third uncle, who was on night patrol. The villagers, holding torches, chased after us and tied us up to take us back. That time, we were beaten until our skin split and our flesh tore. Her head was split open by a stone, and blood soaked the straw in the pigsty. When she woke up, all that remained in her eyes when she looked at me was hatred. "It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, I would have escaped long ago." "Sweetie, will you take mommy away with you? Your Lin family are all devils. Please, just let me go." "Okay." Her mind was growing increasingly unclear. Back then, because kind-hearted people sponsored our village, I was sent to school in the town. I began to understand things and gradually realized that my mother had been trafficked. I am the child of a human trafficker. I told this secret to my only friend, but the very next day, I was ostracized by the entire class. "Your mother is crazy. Your father is a human trafficker, and you're no good either." They threw trash at me, spat on me, and someone even pushed my head into the toilet. Later, the police followed the clues and came to rescue me and my mother. My mother was sometimes lucid, sometimes confused, but when she was lucid, she was in great pain. She would look at me and keep hiding, trembling all over. "I don't know her. She's not my child." Grandpa was so angry that his heart condition flared up, and he wouldn't let me into the house. The Wen family doesn't have such a wild child. How dare that human trafficker claim any connection to our family? My cousin drove me out of the house. I didn't know where to go, and I couldn't stop worrying about my mother, so I just squatted by the door and kept watch for 2 days. Finally, I fainted from hunger on the steps. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital receiving an 4 drip. My grandfather stood by the bed, leaning on a cane, his hair completely white. "Child, don't blame us. Neither your mother nor our Wen family can accept you. It's because of the father you have. We will support your education and give you the best schooling, but for everything else, you'll have to rely on yourself." I don't resent them. I understand that being that man's child is a stain I can never wash clean in this lifetime. I don't dare to ask if I could have something to eat. I'm just too hungry. I know they all have it hard. Mom has it hard. Grandpa has it hard. I'm just grateful to be able to continue going to school. That man originally said he would only let me finish elementary school, learn a few words, so that in the future I could fetch a higher bride price. And so, I was sent to this school. They seem to have paid all my tuition fees, but it seems they forgot to give me living expenses, so from the time I returned to the Wen family until now, I haven't had a single meal. And all I have in my stomach is the glucose I was given that day. My cousin isn't at this school, but he had already informed the class that my dad is a human trafficker, telling them to look out for me. Now I can eat my fill, and the food is so good, with so much meat I've never tasted before. I'm very content. It feels really good to be looked after. When I returned to the classroom, the trash I had imagined wasn't thrown at me, and no one burst into laughter. Logically speaking, after learning about my background, no one would like me. I returned to my seat in the last row. The girl next to me was very pretty, with clear, cool eyes and brows, and her school uniform was so clean it seemed to carry the scent of sunlight. When she saw me sit down, she didn't cover her nose like my previous desk mates had, disgusted by my smell, but she frowned and moved her book half an inch to the other side. What are you looking at? Turn to page 28. Her voice was so pleasant that I was momentarily lost in thought. What are you still spacing out for? If you don't do well on the test and drag our class down, I'll hold you accountable. I hurriedly flipped to page 28, feeling a strange sensation in my heart. There must be a follow-up move waiting for me. I've heard that the wealthy in elite schools have quite a few ways to torment people, but for the entire class, no one bothered me again when the teacher came to teach. There was nothing unusual either. Later, I found out that she was the study committee member, Chin Jiyue, who valued the class's average score the most. From then on, there would always be extra things on my desk. Sometimes it was neatly handwritten notes, sometimes old exercise books with key points highlighted. When I struggled to keep up with math, she would tap my desk with her pen during the quiet lunch break. Look at the auxiliary line first for this problem. Her tone was indifferent. But she explained the problem-solving steps extremely slowly, pausing after each step, only continuing to the next sentence when she saw the confusion in my eyes fade away. My English was a blank slate. I couldn't even recognize all 26 letters. She expressionlessly tossed me an old tape recorder. Study hard. I'll check tomorrow. She had a sour look on her face, but her voice was truly pleasant when she was teaching me to pronounce the words. I drifted off again and couldn't help but exclaim, "Has your voice always been this nice?" She froze, her face instantly flushing red, and she jabbed my test paper hard. "If you don't start studying seriously, I'm really going to settle accounts with you. Just look at your quiz score. Only 38 points. I dare not let myself get distracted anymore. I get up before dawn every day to practice speaking. Back when I was studying, everyone isolated me, so I had plenty of time to read. And I was always first in my class, but now I've scored last place, dragging down the class ranking. I can't let Chin Jiyue's efforts go to waste. Without any living expenses, eating has become a problem. I asked the school if I could work study. The homeroom teacher looked as if she had heard a joke. This is a prestigious school. How could we possibly let students work? Didn't the Wen family send you here? How could you possibly be short on money? A teacher nearby quietly pulled her aside. She's the one who was abducted from the Wen family, born to a human trafficker. The homeroom teacher was very young, having just returned from studying abroad, and her face turned pale with fright as she immediately jumped far away. "We don't have work-study programs here. You should go back quickly. What's going on with the school? How can they just admit anyone?" I walked out of the office with my head down. I've heard words like that many times since I was a child. So I've long since become immune to them. Since that's not an option, I might as well head to the cafeteria. At least there's free kimchi and soup there. I wonder if there will be dog food again today. Thinking about the dog food from that day, I couldn't help but swallow, my stomach tightening. As soon as I sat down in the corner, a heavy lunchbox clattered onto the table in front of me. Jiang Yi stood with his hands in his pockets, looking down with a furrowed brow. "Hey. Do all you girls love dieting so much, and only drinking soup? Eat this, it'll make you fat." Little fatty Zhao chimed in from the side, trying to force a wicked grin. "Exactly, my cousin cries all morning if she gains even a pound." I didn't say a word, silently opening the lunchbox. Inside were braised pork ribs, stir-fried shrimp, and 2 golden fried eggs nestled on top, with the rice packed down firmly. I picked up my spoon and started eating with my head down. The food was warm, the ribs were stewed until tender and soft, and the shrimp were fresh and sweet. I ate quickly and cleanly, finishing in just 2 minutes, even scraping the oil from the edges of the lunchbox with a spoon. "Thank you," I said, putting down the empty lunchbox and looking up at him. My eyes slightly warm. Jiang Yi visibly stiffened, his ears turning red at a noticeable speed. He took a sudden step back, his voice rising in a flustered, incoherent outburst. You're crazy. Who asked for your thanks? We're bullying you. Do you understand?" Furious and embarrassed, he dragged the still-dazed little fatty Zhao away with him. "I told you to be meaner. How else are we going to answer to Wen Chen? We're school bullies. We have to be mean." Wen Chen, my cousin's name. It felt like a tiny needle had pricked my heart. A bit stifling, but not too painful. He hates me so much, probably because he loves Mom too much and can't bear to see the suffering she's endured. As long as Mom can stay at the Wen family's place and recover from her illness properly, everything else doesn't matter. I wonder if Mom ate properly today and if she's feeling any better. I carefully dried the lunchbox until it shone, then placed it back in Jiang Ye's desk drawer. The sunlight fell on it, warm and comforting, after a moment's thought. I left him a note when no one was around. Please don't go to the trouble, no more food for me, thank you. After some thought, I lightly crossed out the words, make things difficult, and changed them to trouble. During evening self-study, I was the only one studying in the classroom. All my classmates were day students. I was the only one who had applied for boarding, but I was already used to this kind of life. When Qin Jiyue left, she expressionlessly left me with a pile of problems. Key question types, finish them. I didn't dare to delay. These questions were all carefully compiled by her. She had excellent grades, a top student's free private tutor, more detailed than what the teachers explained. I never would have dared to imagine such a thing before, but as I worked, I got hungry. Damn, the lunch was delicious, but it didn't keep me full. I got up and went to pour myself 2 large glasses of water. Gulping them down, unexpectedly, I ran into the campus belle, Bailu, who had come back to get something. She was looking at me as if I were a monster. Are you crazy, drinking 2 huge glasses of cold water in one go like that? I lowered my head, not daring to speak. Just then, my stomach let out a very untimely growl, which echoed clearly in the empty hallway. Bailu's expression froze. She frowned, looking disgusted, and tossed a meal card at me. Take it and use it. I didn't dare take it. Not because I was afraid of any trap, but because I felt unworthy. The card was dazzlingly bright, covered in diamonds that formed a sparkling, proud cat pattern. It looked incredibly expensive. Bailu seemed even more annoyed, shoving the card directly into my palm. I just hate the sound of a growling stomach. It's so annoying. I have a cleanliness obsession. Got it. After saying that, she seemed to realize the explanation didn't quite make sense. Picking up the art book, she almost jogged away down the hallway, leaving behind only a faint, pleasant scent of gardenia. I gripped the meal card tightly, the diamond edges digging into my palm, a little painful. Tears, without warning, fell in large drops onto the sparkling cat ears. So annoying. I've been at this school for less than a week, yet I've shed more tears than in the past decade combined. Back when Lin Yong used to hit me, I never cried this much. What's happening to me now? Life just goes on like this. And at least I don't have to worry about tuition. The meal card by Lu gave me always shows 99.99 plus. No matter how much I spend, the balance remains this number. I can only take out my little notebook and record all the money I've spent. Once I get into university and find a job, I'll pay her back. Jiang Yi never looked for me again, but there was always all kinds of food on my desk. This time, though, it was replaced with clean disposable lunchboxes. Once, I came early on purpose and saw Jiang Yi and little fatty Zhao putting food on my desk. The cafeteria food is so awful, I don't know how he can eat it. This is a new recipe my housekeeper developed, good for the brain. And this one, she stays up so late reading every night. This is good for the eyes. This one's for iron. She's gotten so thin. That day I saw her hand, TSK, such a long scar. Looks painful just seeing it. Brother Yi, do you think that scar was really from a dog bite? Shut up. Put the stuff down and leave quickly. Someone might come any moment. As they spoke, my desk was piled high with a mountain of food. I didn't dare face them, only waiting until they had left before returning to my seat. I had nothing to repay them with, so I could only take out the practice workbook Qin Jiyue had bought for me and start working on it. That spot in my heart felt as if it had been filled with something warm and soft, so full it swelled and ached. I took out the exercise book Qin Jiyue had highlighted for me and buried myself in solving the problems. There was nothing I could do to repay them. All I had was this pen in my hand. I was determined to solve every single one of them, one by one. I want to devour every single word from the book into my mind. I need to achieve the highest scores and get into the best university to repay all this warmth. The midterm exams arrived quickly, and I came in first place. Qin Jiyue suddenly sprang up from her seat and hugged me tightly, her cool voice brimming with uncontrollable excitement. I taught her from last place to first place. She was even happier than if she had scored first place herself, her eyes shining as if filled with stars. Quiet, this isn't a marketplace. The homeroom teacher slammed the table heavily, his gaze cutting through me like a knife. Some students shouldn't get carried away just because they've made a little progress. Qin Jiyue's smile instantly turned cold. She let go of me, picked up the LV bag on the table, and casually tossed the one on the floor out the window. Teacher, my bag fell. Could you pick it up for me? The teacher's face turned ashen. Qin Jiyue smiled gently. It's yours. The teacher immediately changed her expression, looking ingratiating. how can I accept this? I'll go right now." With that, she immediately trotted down to pick up the bag. Qin Jiyue pouted and took out another set of questions. "Finally, it's quiet. Don't get too proud. This is a practice test from the exam writer. Finish it in the next 2 days." I felt a surge of joy inside, nodded emphatically, picked up the test paper, and was about to start writing. Bailu couldn't stand it anymore. She just got first place. "Can't you give her a break, let her rest, go for afternoon tea, and relax a little?" Qin Jiyue pressed down on the test paper. "Bailu, do you think everyone can be a carefree vase like you?" Bailu's cheeks flushed red. "Who are you calling a vase? I passed the IELTS last year and I'm going abroad next year. How dare you call me a vase?" I quickly stopped them. "Actually, I can drink water and do the test papers at the same time." Bailu was so angry she laughed, glaring at me. "All right then. I'll have them bring some Bulgari afternoon tea. They happen to have a Christmas set today, so let's all celebrate Christmas together." Xiao Xiaopang eagerly joined in the fun. "That's great, then I'll have them bring hot pot over." Qin Jiyue was also swept up in the atmosphere. "All right, I'll give you the day off today. I'll have my family send over 2 Western chefs to grill steak and foie gras for you." That was the first, and perhaps the only, Christmas in my life that was so lively, warm, and filled with the aroma of food. In the classroom, Michelin-level desserts coexisted strangely with steaming hot pot. Chefs in pristine white uniforms skillfully grilled steaks at the makeshift cooking station, sizzling and filling the air with a mouth-watering fragrance. The classmates were laughing and joking around. Even the usually serious Qin Jiyue secretly took a bite of Bailu's gold leaf cake. I ate the tripe that Xiao Xiaopang had picked for me. Listened to Bailu complain about the tedious preparations for going abroad, and watched Jiang Yi quietly cooking beef for me not far away. For a few moments, I almost forgot who I was and where I came from, until the classroom door was roughly pushed open with a loud bang. All the laughter and chatter seemed to have been put on pause. Wen Chen stood there, his face dark and gloomy. He saw the delicate bone china plate in my hand and the cream at the corner of my mouth that I hadn't had time to wipe off. His eyes were filled with rage, and he directly overturned the hot pot table nearest to him. The scalding red soup base and various foods were splattered all over the floor, creating a chaotic mess. Several nearby classmates screamed and jumped away. "You're the child of a human trafficker. You have that dirty blood in you. What right do you have to be so happy?" "Yes. What right do I have to live such a good life? I am Lin Yong's daughter. His blood runs in my veins." I almost forgot just now. I felt my whole body burning up, instinctively lowered my head, my fingers icy cold, my voice as faint as a mosquito's hum. "Sorry, Wen Chen, you've gone too far." Jiang Yi was the first to rush over, pulling me behind him in one swift motion. Standing between me and Wen Chen, the young man's tall, straight back was filled with anger. "It's a holiday today. What's gotten into you? Am I going too far?" Wen Chen seemed completely ignited by these words. "Jiang Yi, you're my best friend. You know exactly what that scumbag father of hers did to my aunt. She's still lying in the hospital, out of her mind, and you're actually defending the child of a human trafficker." "Hospital? Mom is in the hospital. Has her condition worsened? How is Mom?" I suddenly leaned out from behind Jiang Yi, no longer caring about my fear, my voice trembling with tears. "Which hospital is she in? Can I go see her? Look at her." Wen Chen flung away my hand that was trying to grasp his sleeve, the force so strong that I stumbled. "Are you even worthy? You and your scumbag father are both the ones who harmed her. You have nothing to do with our Wen family. Get out. Don't ever show your face in front of me again." After saying this, he glared fiercely at Jiang Yi, then turned and strode away. The festive atmosphere in the classroom vanished without a trace, leaving only a mess on the floor and an awkward silence. The students looked at each other, unsure of what to say. Soon, everyone quietly left. Several professionals, dressed in their gear, also entered quietly to handle the scene, and soon the classroom was restored to its original state. Everything returned to normal, as if the earlier commotion and warmth had never happened. I shrink back into the corner that belongs to me, my hands and feet icy cold. My mind is filled with Wen Chen's words. "Mom, I want to go see her, but I don't even know which hospital she's in." "Yes, Mom isn't well yet. How can I live so well and be so happy?" I don't know how long it had been when a pair of familiar sneakers stopped in front of my lowered gaze. I looked up. It was Jiang Yi. "I've found out. Your mother is at the Wen family's private rehabilitation center, with the best medical team and care, using the finest medications. It just takes time. My heart relaxed a little, but the ache grew even sharper. Can I go see her? Just one look. I promise I won't disturb her, I pleaded, looking at him. Jiang Yi fell silent for a few seconds, then nodded. I'll walk you out. His efficiency was astonishingly high. 10 minutes later, I arrived at the sanatorium. We're here. Jiang Yi opened the car door for me. I twisted my fingers nervously, my voice trembling. I just want to see her from afar, to make sure she's okay. Seeing me might upset her. Is there somewhere I can watch without disturbing her? Jiang Yi turned around and whispered a few words to someone. Soon, we were taken to a quiet monitoring room. An entire wall of screens displayed real-time footage from different rooms. Jiang Yi pointed to one of the screens. That room, Mom lay on the bed by the window, wearing clean, soft light blue hospital pajamas and covered by a pristine white blanket. The room was spacious and bright, with fresh flowers arranged inside. Her complexion had improved significantly. No longer the deathly gray pallor, now tinged with a healthy flush. Her long hair had been carefully styled, falling smoothly over her shoulders, looking so lovely, yet on her forehead, the scar left by the stone remained glaringly visible. She gazed quietly out the window, her eyes vacant and unfocused. I tightly covered my mouth, but tears poured out uncontrollably. Mom, I'm sorry. I trembled all over from crying, yet dared not make a single sound. Jiang Yi stood beside me, silently handing over a pack of tissues without saying a word. The moment I stepped into the classroom the next day, the air instantly froze. Everyone stopped what they were doing, countless gazes fixed on me. I can understand, the Wen family holds great influence, and everyone heard what he said yesterday. Everyone now knows I'm the daughter of a human trafficker. My face burned with shame, my lower abdomen heavy and aching, and I had been feeling waves of chills since last night. I quickly moved to my seat, burying my head in my work and trying my best to ignore the scrutinizing gazes. Qin Jiue didn't show up all morning. I wonder if she, too, feels that being friends with someone like me is a disgrace. She was so kind to me before, probably because she didn't know about my background. During the break, I really needed to use the restroom. I had just stood up and taken 2 steps when the classroom suddenly fell silent again. Someone nudged their desk mate with an elbow, signaling them to look at me. I pretended not to notice, keeping my head down and trying to make myself as inconspicuous as possible as I shuffled out. Each step felt like walking on needles. My stomach ached, and my heart raced even more. Suddenly, a soft, beige long coat with the cool fragrance of gardenia was gently draped over my shoulders from the side, instantly wrapping me in its warmth. It was Bailu. She firmly grasped my cold wrist and, without a word, pulled me around and led me outside. We walked in silence the whole way. It wasn't until she had brought me into the dormitory and closed the door that she finally spoke, her face full of disdain. Your pants are covered in blood. Didn't you know? Huh? I stared at her blankly. Another sharp cramp twisting in my lower abdomen. I turned my head and saw a large, shocking patch of bloodstains on my pants. My mind went buzz, completely blank. Am I bleeding? Am I going to die? Just like that time Mom was in the pigsty, bleeding so much, passing out. A wave of immense fear instantly seized me. Tears welled up without warning, and I stammered incoherently, I'm sorry, Bailu, I might not have much longer to live. I've kept track of all the money I spent using the meal card you gave me, from the start of the semester until now. It's been 923 yuan and 50 cents. I know it's a lot. The food at school is too expensive, so I try to only eat rice. I might not be able to repay you in this lifetime, but in the next life, I promise I'll work like an ox or a horse to pay you back. Bailu was stunned at first, her beautiful almond-shaped eyes widening as if she didn't understand what I was saying. A few seconds later, she burst out laughing. What are you doing? Leaving a will? How stupid. Suddenly, as if remembering something, she frowned and looked me over. Wait a minute, Lin Xiaoqiao, is this your first time? That shouldn't be the case. You're already this old. Didn't your mom tell you this is menstruation? All girls get it when they grow up, every month. Halfway through her sentence, she seemed to realize something and stopped, glancing around. She started chattering again. What kind of pigsty is this you're living in? Is the window drafty? Why is it so cold? She immediately took out her phone and called the housekeeper, rattling off a long list of items, from a thick mattress and down comforter to hand warmers and hot water bottles. Oh, and bring over a space heater too. Also, bring a few sets of clothes. The ones in my closet that I haven't worn yet, bring them all. Soon, Two housekeepers from Bailu's home arrived with large and small bags in tow. They deftly and gently taught me how to use sanitary pads, why menstruation occurs, and what to pay attention to during my period. They then helped me change into clean, soft, pure cotton pajamas that carried the scent of sunshine and assisted me in lying down. It was only then that I belatedly noticed that my hard wooden bed had somehow been covered with a thick, soft mattress and a fluffy down comforter. A few plush toys, the kind I had only seen on TV, were also placed by the bedside. The once empty and cold dormitory was now filled with the warm aroma of simmering food. An ant was bubbling away, cooking bird's nest porridge in a small pot. I felt as if I were walking on cotton, everything happening too fast, too unreal. I even forgot the pain in my abdomen, leaving only a dazed sense of helplessness. Just then, Qin Jiyue rushed in like a whirlwind. Her coat buttons undone and her bangs slightly disheveled. "Bailu, where have you hidden my first place again?" Her tone was sharp, but it abruptly halted when she saw me lying pale on the bed, her brows furrowing tightly. Bailu walked over and whispered a few words quickly into her ear. Qin Jiyue's face instantly darkened. She took a few steps to my bedside and touched my cold forehead. Then she took out her phone. "I'll have the family doctor come over right away. Developing so late. With such a heavy first period, you need a thorough checkup." Her fingers tapped rapidly on the screen, the lines of her profile tense. Then she lifted her eyes to look at me, her gaze filled with concern. Years later, I would still remember this day. My mother was absent from this moment of mine, yet they, with their own warmth, made it tender and soft, turning it into my most gentle and beautiful memory. In those years, I said countless thank yous, to Bailu, to Qin Jiyue, and to many others later on, but deep down, I knew that some burdens were too heavy for the words, thank you, to ever bear. It was not a condescending handout, nor a fleeting whim of pity. It was two equally proud and beautiful girls, clumsily and sincerely reaching out their hands to me. It was the light in my barren and gray girlhood. From then on, no matter how many cold moments life might bring in the future, as long as I think of that afternoon in the dormitory, I know how I was once cherished. When I returned to the class, there was no more whispering. I didn't know if it was because of Bailu, Qin Jiyue, or Jiang Yi, but when walking around the school, people would still often point at me. However, it didn't matter anymore. Having such good friends, even if I were to be scorned by thousands, it would still be worth it. At that time, my sense of self-worth was actually extremely low. When heaven suddenly bestowed such wonderful friends upon me, I was even willing to exchange my life for them. Life went on like this, and Bailu went abroad the very next year. Before leaving the country, she loaded a lot of money onto my meal card. "I can't use that much, and I already can't repay what you've given me before." Her eyes were slightly red, and her tone was haughty. "Who said you have to repay me? Eat more, don't get as thin as a blade of grass. But it's good, you're all plump and fair now." Jiang Yi was soon sent by his family to attend business school, as he too was destined to inherit the family business. Before leaving, he gave me a watch. "This way, I can know if you're sleeping well. It's okay if you don't do well on the exams. I'll have your back when the time comes." Fortunately, Qin Jiyue hadn't left yet. She said she wanted to compete with me for the top spot in the college entrance exams. I have been the top student every year, and she can no longer tutor me. She then arranged for a private tutor to come and give us extra lessons every day after school. I successfully got into the medical school of Peking University, while she was admitted to the School of Economics and Management at Tsinghua University. "Xiao, we're still in the same city. We can study together when the time comes." I held her, thanking her over and over again. Over the past few years, I haven't returned to the Wen family, nor have I seen my mother again, but Jiang Yi often updates me on my mother's treatment progress. She's getting better and better, and the family has introduced her to a very outstanding uncle, allowing her to start a new life. Before going to college, I still wanted to see her one more time, even if it was just from a distance, just to know that she's doing well. I pondered in my heart for a long time, and finally, one morning, I secretly went to the Wen family. Crouching outside the wrought iron fence, I saw my mother in the rose-filled garden. She was wearing a soft beige long dress, crouching down to pet a frolicking puppy, with a serene smile on her face. I had never seen her smile like that before. Behind her stood a middle-aged man with an elegant demeanor, holding a water cup and a soft cloth. His gaze was always tenderly following her, patient and considerate. The scene was so beautiful it felt unreal. I tightened my grip on the Peking University admission letter in my pocket. This is it. Seeing her doing so well is enough. Just as I turned around, something struck the back of my neck, and I felt my entire body go limp. Before losing consciousness, I felt myself being roughly lifted and shoved into a car. When I woke up again, I found myself in an abandoned open-air warehouse, tied to a chair. In the dim light, a strange young man stood before me, his gaze sinister, without saying a word. He raised his hand and slapped me hard across the face. A burning pain exploded on my cheek. It had been many years since anyone had hit me, and this slap instantly reminded me of Lin Yong. He was already dead, but just thinking about those days still makes me tremble uncontrollably. "Who are you?" I asked, my ears ringing and my voice hoarse. "I am your mother's son, your brother, mother's son." After a moment of confusion, I saw his face clearly, and indeed, there was a shadow of the man from the garden in his features. "Why did you capture me?" A chill shot up from the soles of my feet. Pei Jing seemed to have heard something laughable, his voice suddenly sharpening. "Wouldn't it have been better if you had died outside? Why did you have to come back? Why did you have to appear before her, before my father?" "I didn't. I just wanted to see Mom from a distance," I pleaded urgently. "Shut up," he snapped sharply, his eyes like a venomous snake. "A bastard is a bastard. How dare you call her Mom? I'm telling you, once Dad marries that bitch, everything in the Wen family will be mine. I won't allow anyone, especially not someone with dirty blood like you, to ruin my plans and take what's rightfully mine." My entire body went cold. "You wouldn't dare. If you dare hurt Mom, I'll haunt you even as a ghost." Pei Jing gave a sinister smile, picked up a rusty iron pipe, weighed it in his palm, and walked toward me step by step, his shadow completely engulfing me. "Sure, why don't you go try being a ghost first?" Just as I was being shoved into the car, Jiang Yi, who had just returned from abroad to surprise me, sensed something was wrong. The watch he gave me had a tracking function, and at that moment, I was moving rapidly toward the outskirts of the city. This isn't right. She usually won't even take a taxi, so how could she be moving this fast? A bus wouldn't have this kind of speed. Having grown up in a prominent family, he immediately sensed something was wrong and called Qin Jiyue. Qin Jiyue hurriedly called me, but my phone was turned off. Did she go to the Wen family? She's been restless these past few days. At this moment, Bailu, far across the ocean, also received the news. It was still nighttime where she was, but she sat up immediately, without a word of hesitation, opened her laptop, connected to the family's trading system on Wall Street, and her fingers flew across the keyboard. A few minutes later, the stock price of the Wen Group overseas began to show unusual fluctuations. With enough chips in hand, she called Wen Chen. "Within 3 minutes, tell me Xiao Chao's whereabouts, or I will swallow up all of your Wen family's overseas market, even if it means losing 800 while hurting the enemy by 1,000. Wen Chen, who received the call, was completely confused, but he also knew the combined strength of the Bai, Qin, and Jiang families, especially with Bailu being overseas. Even if the losses could be recovered later, the Wen family would still suffer significant damage. He immediately asked the butler to check the surveillance footage and discovered that I had been kidnapped. To pull something like this on my family's turf, after all, she is my... He cut himself off abruptly, swallowing the rest of his words. He immediately ordered the police to be notified and sent the surveillance footage to Jiang Yi and Qin Jiyue. Qin Jiyue calculated the location and the time I had left, then promptly arranged for a helicopter to be dispatched. On the other side, Jiang Ye's Ducati tore through the streets like a red lightning bolt. With one hand on the handlebars, he quickly dialed a number with the other, his tone fierce. "It's me, Jiang Yi. Get every vehicle in your garage out on the road. Call in as many as you can, and block all exits in the old industrial district west of the city. Yes, now, immediately." In the top circles of Haicheng, the power behind a single word from the Jiang family's young master was beyond imagination. In just a few minutes, countless supercars and luxury vehicles roared out from various clubs, villas, and garages, Maseratis, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, converging into a torrent that ignored traffic rules, speeding toward the same direction, drawing the attention of passers-by and throwing traffic surveillance into chaos. Inside the warehouse, a rusted iron pipe whistled through the air, swinging down hard toward the top of my head. I closed my eyes. The expected sharp pain did not come. Instead, there was a heavy, muffled thud followed by a man's agonized cry. "What kind of trash dares to lay a hand on her?" Jiang Yi kicked Pei Jing hard, sending him flying into a pile of scrap metal on an iron rack, causing a loud crash. His hair was slightly disheveled, and he was breathing heavily, clearly having rushed here with all his might. Almost at the same moment, the roar of helicopter propellers echoed from the dilapidated warehouse roof. A beam of intense light pierced through the dust-covered skylight, precisely illuminating Beijing. At the open door of the hovering helicopter, Qin Zhiyuan knelt on one knee, her posture as steady as a rock. Her gaze was icy cold as she drew the bowstring to its full extent. Utterly clueless, the arrow pierced through the air, striking Beijing's knee with pinpoint accuracy just as he tried to rise. Beijing let out a sharp cry, unable to get up again. Jiang Yi had already rushed to my side in a flash. His hands trembled slightly as he swiftly cut through the ropes binding me. Qin Zhiyue quickly descended the rappelling rope and ran over, seeing the deep red rope marks on my wrists and the handprint on my cheek. Her usually cool eyes instantly blazed with anger. She turned, ready to deliver another kick to the wailing Beijing on the ground. Just then, Bailu's video call came through on Jiang Ye's end. "Let me see. Okay, you haven't lost weight, and it seems like you've even gained a little on your face." She spoke at an extremely fast pace, trying to mask her choked voice with her usual teasing tone. "Lin Xiaoqiao, you scared me to death. Next time you go anywhere, you have to report to me first. Do you hear me?" I looked at the familiar face on the screen, then at Jiang Yi and Qin Zhiyue, whose eyes were filled with lingering fear. Only then did I realize how scared I was, and I hugged Qin Zhiyue, wailing, I thought I'd never see you all again." Qin Zhiyue's body stiffened for a moment before relaxing. She hugged me back, gently patting my back. At that moment, the sound of police sirens grew closer from outside the warehouse, and officers quickly rushed in, restraining the fallen Beijing. Following closely behind were Wen Chen and my mother, whose face was as pale as paper, yet she rushed toward me without a second thought. Sweetie, my mother broke free from Wen Chen's grasp, stumbling over to tightly embrace me in her arms. Are you okay? It's all my fault. I didn't protect you well enough. It's all my fault." I was stunned by this sudden, warm, and genuine embrace. Trembling, I reached out and cautiously hugged her back, my voice choked and broken. "Mom, are you okay? You don't blame me anymore." "No, I never blame you. It's me who's sorry, my child." Mom was sobbing uncontrollably, only holding me tighter, as if trying to make up for all the missed hugs from the past. "Mom, I miss you so much. I got in Peking University Health Science Center. In the future, I can become a doctor too, and I can take good care of you." I was babbling incoherently. Years of pent-up grievances, longing, and desire finally found an outlet, turning into wailing tears. Good, my baby is the best." Mom stroked my hair, but her tears flowed even more fiercely. Beside us, Wen Chen watched us hugging and crying, his expression complicated. He stepped forward. "Xiaoqiao, I'm sorry, I was immature before, said a lot of foolish things, and did many things that hurt you. Please forgive me." Jiang Yi stood nearby with his arms crossed, snorted, and gave Wen Chen a light punch on the shoulder. "All right, if you're apologizing, do it properly. Why make it so formal? Your whole family is so mushy." He glanced around the dim, dirty warehouse, frowned in disgust, and said, "Is this dump even fit for people? Hurry up, let's all go home. Today is Xiaoqiao's big day. She got into Peking University, bringing honor to your Wen family. Shouldn't we celebrate properly? That was the best summer of my life." After returning to the Wen family, I spent every night clinging to my mother's room. She carried a faint, comforting scent of medicine, mingled with the smell of sunlight on freshly aired bedding. Like a young animal that had finally found its den, I curled up beside her, clutching her arm tightly, afraid that if I let go, this warmth would once again turn into a dream. Sometimes, waking up in the middle of the night drenched in cold sweat, I would always meet a pair of eyes gazing at me tenderly, under the moonlight. My mother's fingers gently brushed away the sweat-dampened hair from my forehead, her movements a bit clumsy, yet filled with an incredible sense of care. "Did you have a nightmare?" Her voice was soft, carrying a slight hoarseness from just waking up. I shook my head and buried my face in the warm crook of her neck, greedily breathing in the scent that belonged to my mother. The years of accumulated fear, anger, and grievances melted away like ice and snow under the sun, quietly dissolving in this embrace. From now on, Lin Xiaoqiao was also a child with a mother to love her. Years later, I finally put on the white coat as I had wished, busying myself between the operating room and the wards, on the path of healing the sick and saving lives. I often think of that little girl who was burning with fever in the pigsty, with no one to care for her. Now, I finally have the ability to provide a small patch of shade for more tender grass. We reunited again at Bailu's wedding, a beautiful beach, where starlight and lamplight intertwine. The bride was stunningly beautiful, holding the arm of the groom in his tailored suit. Her brows and eyes still carried the same proud, radiant look from years past, now softened by the gentleness that time had bestowed. I handed over a thick red envelope. I knew she didn't need it, but it was a gesture I had to make. For the meal card that never seemed to run out. For the windbreaker that carried the scent of gardenias, and for all the kindness she had ever shown me. A few of us sat at a table specially arranged for us. Jiang Yi is now the formidable CEO of the business world, dressed in a sharp suit, with the youthful defiance in his brow replaced by a steady sharpness. Yet, when he sees us, he still instinctively wants to kick Xiao Xiaopang's chair, only to be stopped by Qin Jiyue's sharp glance. Qin Jiyue has become a young professor at a top domestic research institute, her gaze behind gold-rimmed glasses still cool and intelligent. Xiao Xiaopang has become a top-tier mukbang streamer, secretly filming the wedding cake with his phone while whispering, "This cream is absolutely amazing, folks." Double tap 666. Amidst the lively chatter at the table, the conversation flows from the challenges in the lab to the IPO turbulence at Jiang Ye's company. From Zhao Xiaopang's failed recipes to the gossip about Bailu's long-distance romance, it feels as if time has never passed, as if we were all still in our youth. My phone vibrates. A text from Mom: "Sweetie, don't drink too much, come home early, I've made hangover soup and I'm waiting for you." I looked at the short text on the screen, and the corners of my mouth unconsciously lifted. I replied with, "Okay, I'll be back soon." Feeling completely comforted inside, I picked up the wine glass. Watching the champagne bubbles rise along the crystal-clear sides, I glanced at these incredibly precious people, gifted to me by fate, sitting around the table. To everyone, to us, the glasses clinked gently, producing a clear and pleasant sound, like the harmonious echo of all the support and laughter from the past years. How wonderful, Xiao Chao, from this day forward, every day will be filled with love, a home to return to, and friends to rely on. Starlight falls into the eyes. The sea breeze gentle, the road ahead is long, but I know I will never walk alone again. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I am an orphan from the welfare home, with congenital heart disease. I also have a twin sister. In my previous life, I was abandoned by the roadside and adopted by a homeless man, begging, scavenging for food, being scorned by others, and sleeping under bridges were my daily routine. My sister was adopted by a wealthy couple and became a nationally renowned pianist. Time rewound, and I was reborn on the day of the adoption. I rushed into the arms of the homeless man without hesitation. Suddenly, bullet comments appeared before my eyes. Even Rebirth can't fix a pig's brain. The answer is right in front of her, yet she doesn't know how to copy it. What on earth is this supporting character thinking? Supporting characters are just supporting characters, even with a second chance. They can't change their fate of being a side character. In my previous life, my sister was adopted by the Maybach couple and became a nationally renowned pianist. I, on the other hand, suffered from congenital heart disease. Frail and weak, after no one adopted me. I was secretly abandoned by the orphanage on the roadside on a feverish night. A homeless man who scavenged at midnight took me in. He walked 10 kilometers every day to the affluent neighborhoods to collect trash, picking up imported milk and leftover beef that the wealthy discarded, and sometimes he would bring back a whole cake for me. Upon learning that I had a heart condition, he endured his own illnesses to collect bottles day and night, even kneeling to beg for help. I managed to scrape together enough money for my surgery by any means necessary. Unfortunately, it was a bit too late, my body was too weak, and I didn't make it to the operating table. He never got to see me grow up. When I woke up, I had been reborn on the day my sister was adopted. At the orphanage gate, a Maybach slowly came to a stop. I dug out the only clean little white dress from the bottom of the trunk and put it on my sister. The Maybach couple stepped out of the car. I patted my sister's small shoulder. "Go on, those are your new mom and dad." I stood quietly, watching my sister run toward her brilliant life, until the Maybach disappeared from sight. What, is this supporting character out of her mind? Didn't she get a second chance? Her brain must be fried for not choosing the Maybach. If you'd chosen the Maybach, the one playing piano in Vienna would be you. I'm so anxious, truly hopeless. Like mud that can't be plastered on a wall, otherwise. How could she be a supporting character who died early? Let's all move on. From the bullet comments, I learned that my sister is the female lead, and I am just a cannon fodder supporting character who only appears at the beginning. I quietly finished reading these bullet comments, and found the older brother who usually takes care of us at the orphanage, asking him to help me take a photo. After finishing all of this, I calmly packed my bags and secretly left the welfare home in the evening. Dad, I'm coming, this time, I will grow up. When I left the welfare home, I took a bag and skillfully collected cardboard and bottles from trash cans along the way. Estimating the time was about right, I clutched the bag in my hand, walked over to the roadside where the homeless man had found me, and sat down to wait. Not long after, the familiar figure from my previous life arrived as expected. Clatter, rustle, the sound of aluminum cans falling into the bag and colliding with each other. Just watching his scavenging figure from afar made my nose sting and my eyes grow warm. Oh, dear child, why are you sitting here? Where are your parents? My tears instantly fell. I sobbed and told him I had a heart condition, and no one wanted me. I also told him that if he sent me to the police station, I would eventually be sent back to the orphanage, and a child like me would end up homeless in the end. As I was speaking, the barrage of comments appeared again. Still filled with negative remarks. This supporting female character really isn't very bright. Never mind, I won't say more. It's truly a hellish start, with no chance of turning things around. Agree with the comment above. This supporting female character is too foolish. Pretty face, empty head. I continue to ignore these bullet comments, then hand the collected scrap to the homeless man. He awkwardly accepts it, unsure what to do for a moment, and finally blurts out, "Have you eaten?" I shook my head. "I'll buy you a bowl of wontons to eat." I said okay. I pretended I couldn't finish the bowl of wontons and gave it to a homeless person. He saw through my act, and his heart ached so much that tears fell. Such a sensible child. Yet no one wants you. How can fate be so cruel? I secretly thought to myself, it's not bitter, things will get better. After finishing the wontons, the homeless man held my hand with one hand, dragged the collected scrap with the other, and took me back to his humble dwelling. Such a good little girl. What am I going to do with her? I should go ask around to see if anyone wants to take in this child. Sigh, heart disease. I don't even know how much it costs to treat heart disease, but we still have to do our best to keep him alive. Listening to him mutter to himself, I felt a sense of peace. He lived in a tin shed not far from a large bridge, surrounded by swarms of mosquitoes and insects. The entrance of the tin shed was blocked by an old mosquito net he had used. The interior wasn't large, with a bed on the left and a wooden double sofa on the right, likely picked up from somewhere. It was very simple, cluttered with various items, but clean. I was placed on the double sofa, and to keep me from feeling uncomfortable, he padded it with winter clothes and freshly washed bedding. In the following days, he would go out scavenging in the middle of the night. Carefully locking the door before leaving, he would return at dawn with breakfast he had bought. In the afternoon, he would take me around, asking everywhere if anyone could adopt me. He was getting on in years, and his methods were very clumsy, relying on his legs and his mouth to ask around. So naturally, there was no progress. But I will wait for him to realize that our two fates are meant to be deeply intertwined. I tugged hard on his hand. You have no one to accompany you. And I have no one who wants me. Let's just team up and live together. You be my dad, and I'll be your daughter. Okay? He didn't speak. I gently tugged at his sleeve again, watching the flickering light in his eyes. Dad, I watched him blink hard, let out a long sigh, and then answer me. I never thought I'd have a daughter in this lifetime. He hesitated, likely worried about my heart condition. I have a way to manage my illness. Can't help but laugh. Does she even know how much a heart surgery costs? In my past life, this homeless man spent a full 5 years, crying and begging on his knees everywhere just to barely scrape together the money. What can a penniless little toad like him do? He couldn't even manage to rob someone. Yeah, and according to the plot, she's about to get a fever. Forget about the money to cure her heart condition. She doesn't even have the money to go to the hospital for a fever. Indeed, based on my past life's experience, I'm about to develop an unexplained fever. My heart condition worsened because of that high fever, which drained my body and ultimately left me unable to make it to the operating table. So, if I want to survive, I need to move away from this place with my adoptive father before the fever hits. I also need to make sure my adoptive father adopts me through the proper legal procedures, so we have a chance to break free from our current life of scavenging to get by. Only then will I have the opportunity to go to school and change my life. I remember from my past life that a luxury amusement park opened nearby, and on its opening day, there was a grand live-streamed event. It is said that this is an investment the local government went to great lengths to secure, which will create employment for nearly 10 million people in the region and promote economic development. Therefore, on the day of the live broadcast, all the prominent local figures will participate in the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Moreover, because the investor is young and accomplished, many fans and influencers will attend to promote the event. I must seize this opportunity. I found out the specific time of the live broadcast, put on a simple and clean outfit, and went with my adoptive father. At the scene, the crowd was packed. I desperately pulled my adoptive father forward, pushing through the crowd. "Sweetie, there are so many people, let's just watch from the outside. Dad, I want to get a little closer. I'll squeeze to the front, and you wait here for me, okay? But you have to keep an eye on me. All right, be careful." I managed to squeeze to the front row just before the ribbon-cutting ceremony began, standing in the gap between the security guards, keeping an eye on the live broadcast location, looking around. The mayor, entrepreneurs, and the director of the orphanage were also there. They were all waiting for a business tycoon who was running late. A black van slowly drove in. The big shot had arrived. The big shot was dressed in a finely tailored suit, with a dazzling wristwatch sparkling in the sunlight. The ribbon-cutting ceremony for Shengguang Amusement Park officially begins. I watched the ceremony, my palms sweating. At the climax of the ceremony, during the ribbon-cutting and cannon salute, I rushed forward. I fainted precisely in front of the mayor and the big shot, clutching tightly to the big shot's pant leg as I fell. The scene quickly descended into chaos. "Daughter," I heard my adoptive father shouting my name as he pushed through the crowd and ran toward me. The security guard wanted to pull me away, but since this was a live broadcast, he couldn't act on his own. "Call an ambulance. We need to call an ambulance. This child has a heart condition. Is she having a heart attack?" The big shot stooped down in front of everyone to comfort me and my adoptive father. He saw through my act and questioned me with his eyes, but my adoptive father's genuine emotions still caused quite a stir. My adoptive father didn't have a phone, so he begged someone to make a call for him. After speaking, he tremblingly pulled out a handful of loose change from his pocket, wanting to save me. Reporters swarmed forward to ask questions, and under their interrogation, my adoptive father revealed that I was an orphan and that he had adopted me. I watched as the dean's face gradually darkened, and I curled the corner of my mouth into a slight smile. This supporting female character does have a bit of cleverness, but so what? It's futile and carries great risks. Live streaming is fine, but what happens afterward? If no one follows up, it's essentially useless. Those who come are just chasing celebrities, and such matters are quickly forgotten. The barrage comments weren't wrong. Before I left, I secretly entered the dean's office and memorized a few journalists' phone numbers. I sent them messages asking for help. One of those journalists had once tried to help me, but by the time he became famous enough to stir up public opinion and save me, I was already on the brink of death. My adoptive father's genuine emotions were seen by many netizens, gaining some online attention. Initially, many netizens criticized me, claiming I was trying to extort money, that seeking attention was real while the heart condition was fake. But after the hospital test results came out, public opinion shifted overwhelmingly, and netizens' attention turned to my adoptive father's plight and his kindness and integrity. The big shot covered my medical expenses, and I, quite impressively, developed a high fever. This time, my high fever was brought under control, and the doctor took the opportunity to remind me that the heart surgery needed to be done as soon as possible. I looked pale and seemed to be lying on the hospital bed, barely alive. As I gave the interview, I truly appeared disheveled, but the more pitiful and broken I looked, the more leverage and hope I had. The in-depth report about my adoptive father and me was published, drawing even broader attention. The director of the welfare home found me and questioned me about why I ran away. If I didn't leave, I would have been abandoned too. Right, director, this was the secret of the welfare home. The director first feigned surprise and ignorance, then began negotiating terms with me. I knew that I was being exposed to the public, appearing as a pitiful victim. I would become a charitable commodity. for the sake of a good reputation, there would be entrepreneurs willing to adopt me. Because a homeless man is incapable of raising a girl with a heart condition, in that case. My foster father would continue scavenging, or at most have a decent place to live, but that's not what I want. In this life, I not only want to survive, but also live well with my adoptive father, so, I pretended to know the orphanage's secret and negotiated a deal with the director. I demanded that the orphanage handle formal procedures for me and my adoptive father, that the government provide us with a place to live, and that I be allowed to attend school. In return, I would not only keep the secret but also use the current attention to tell a story that benefits the orphanage, to enable the orphanage to receive more donations from entrepreneurs. The director agreed. As he turned to leave the ward, my adoptive father happened to push the door open, carrying porridge he had fetched from the hospital cafeteria. I clenched my palm, finding it sweaty. I bought you some congee with preserved egg and lean pork. It's a bit hot, so eat it slowly. Hearing my adoptive father's voice, I felt my nose sting with emotion again. Dad, we're going to have a home. While the attention is still there, I went through the adoption procedures with my foster father, before signing. He repeatedly advised me to find a father with better conditions. You're a smart kid, while so many people are paying attention to you now, take your time and choose carefully. There was a Mrs. Zhang yesterday. I think she's a good person too, you should consider it. No matter what he said, I only shook my head, my gaze resolute. I only have you as my father, and we must not give up on each other. My adoptive father's eyes welled up with tears, yet I felt particularly at ease. Then we moved into the public housing provided by the government. It's a small 2-bedroom, 1 living room apartment, not in great condition, but much better than the tin shacks under the bridge. Because of my cooperation, the orphanage was able to film many touching promotional stories and secured new funding. The cost of my heart surgery was covered by the parent company of the amusement park. But because the procedure is quite complex, it's scheduled for about a year later. My foster father continued collecting bottles. Even though we had a place to live, we still had to earn our living with our own hands. Did this supporting female character actually manage to pull off a little twist my foot? This supporting female character is choosing a life of homelessness over a comfortable one. Even if she finds a temporary place to stay, the hardships are far from over. The barrage of comments got me thinking. I had thought that, as things were, I could continue my studies and get by, even if life was simple. When I moved into the new house, closing my eyes occasionally made me feel breathless and anxious. I feared that the spotlight would no longer shine on me, and everything I had fought for would turn into bubbles. So, I asked the dean for a smartphone and registered a live streaming account. The name was simply, Little Fish Facing the Sun. Although I grew up in an orphanage, I attended elementary school there. I was assigned to a nearby ordinary elementary school for 6th grade. Thanks to the widespread implementation of 9-year compulsory education, I had the opportunity to attend school. However, the elementary school I attended primarily served the children of migrant workers, and both the academic atmosphere and overall environment were somewhat lacking. In my previous life, my adoptive father sent me to school for a few years. By the time I reached high school, my heart condition had begun to worsen. I ultimately had to drop out of school. This time, since I have been given a chance to live, I must study even harder to change my fate, and so, I occasionally live-streamed using my phone. The content of my live streams usually involved me studying, picking up bottles on the street, or handing out flyers. Most of the time, I don't talk much, and occasionally I receive some live stream donations, though not many, due to my special physical condition. Even though my grades are decent, I can only continue at my current school for the transition from elementary to middle school for now. My heart surgery is almost scheduled. Today, as usual, I went to collect bottles, but something felt particularly off. Suddenly, I noticed the information on the bullet comments. Damn, this is intense. She's about to get kidnapped and abused. LOL. If solving problems were that easy, everyone would be getting rich effortlessly. Changing your fate is that simple. Broadcasting your whereabouts live every day. You're just thinking too kindly of people. Kidnapped, abuse. I suddenly felt my hands and feet turn cold. There weren't many pedestrians on this road, just a few hundred meters from the bustling city center, but it was behind a residential complex. If someone really intended to kidnap me, it was already too late for me to run. Stay calm, I carefully recall, during my live streams. There are always people who question whether I'm putting on a show or pretending to be pitiful. Most of the time, I don't speak and ignore these comments, but just a few days ago, someone commented during a live stream that they wanted to expose me to see if I really have a heart condition. I thought it was just talk and didn't take it seriously. What should I do now? I suspect they just want to teach me a lesson. After all, I'm just a student. I want to call the police now. But nothing has happened yet, and doing so might only provoke them. I was drenched in cold sweat, and as the wind blew, I felt every hair on my body stand on end. I gritted my teeth and decided to go all out. Taking a gamble, I secretly started a live stream, titling it, "I've been kidnapped," deliberately using a misspelling to avoid being blocked. I typed my location in the comments section, begging everyone to help me call the police. I continued picking up bottles while secretly checking the live stream's data. The live stream's popularity was steadily rising. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, someone is getting closer. I start running, and the person following me begins to chase. I only ran a few steps before being tackled. I wasn't kidnapped. 3 blonde-haired guys pushed me to the ground, and my phone flew out of my hand. After discovering I was live streaming, they reacted very calmly. The leader turned off my broadcast. The blonde guy kicked me a few times. I gasped in pain, sucking in a sharp breath. He pulled out a dagger and crouched down, threatening me. "Your name is Chen Yu, and you live in apartment 304, building 2, Shixiang old renovation housing. You've already got a place to live, food to eat, and a school to attend. That should be enough, understand? If you keep live streaming to gain sympathy, I'll scar your face. From now on, no more live streaming, and no more sending press releases to the media. Otherwise, next time won't be so simple." My intuition tells me he's not the one trying to mess with me in the live stream. He has other intentions. At this thought, I started to feel nervous, and a dull ache began to throb in my chest. Seeing my pained expression, he showed a flicker of panic, but quickly resumed his indifferent demeanor. "I didn't kidnap you, and I didn't really touch you either. If you die, it's got nothing to do with me. Whether you live or die depends entirely on your own fate." After saying that, he left with the other 2. I curled up on the ground, gasping for breath, my heart aching faintly. My mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. Soon, the police arrived, found me, and took me to the hospital. I didn't tell my adoptive father about the threats I received tonight, only saying that I had accidentally fainted. "Xiao Yu, from now on, don't go picking up bottles anymore. A kind-hearted person said they'd arrange a security job for me. You just focus on getting your surgery and studying," my adoptive father said, sitting by the hospital bed, his face filled with concern. "Nothing is more important than your health." "Okay," I agreed, lying in the hospital bed. I opened the live streaming backend to see 999 plus notifications. My old news was dug up again, stirring up a small wave of attention. After this incident, someone anonymously offered to fund me regularly, covering my education and living expenses until I come of age. The condition was that I stop live streaming. From then on, I guessed who was threatening me. My sister. I suspect she is the female lead in this script. She is a meticulously cultivated rose, and as a future renowned pianist, she should not have any blemishes. Her sister being exposed to the public eye is a blemish, because of her foolish decision to do live streaming. Netizens discovered that the female lead is her sister. They have been sending messages to the female lead's adoptive mother every day, asking why, with so much money, they didn't adopt both sisters. It can be said that the female lead's family is kind-hearted, as they still support her financially. This has affected the female lead's development, to say the least. I have already made the greatest concession, but I don't need to go against money. I can still have a better future. I paused the live stream, and my adoptive father got a job as a security guard. However, because of his age, he still needs to occasionally take on part-time work for the community's landscaping and cleaning. The pay is meager, but it's enough to keep life going. My surgery arrived as scheduled. Before getting on the operating table, I held my adoptive father's hand. "Dad, if I don't make it off the operating table, you still have to live well on your own. That would be my fate. And it has nothing to do with you." My adoptive father immediately told me to knock on wood and stop talking nonsense. I really had no confidence in my heart. After all, in my previous life, I didn't live long enough to undergo the surgery. The surgery was successful, and my adoptive father cried for a long time outside the operating room. I survived. During my recovery, I often placed my hand on my chest, feeling my heart thumping steadily. The surgery and recovery period caused me to fall behind significantly in my studies. I returned to school and began studying hard. The curriculum at the welfare institution was different from that of a regular elementary school, and my foundation was weaker than others. More importantly, I wanted to get into a better high school and leave this school. So, in the time leading up to the high school entrance exam, I was almost constantly studying, except for eating and sleeping. My adoptive father would learn to make Cantonese-style stewed soups on weekends to nourish me. The days were so peaceful it felt unreal. After the surgery, my physical fitness also caught up. I was growing like crazy, shooting up in height, and my chest was becoming fuller day by day, much fuller than my peers. My adoptive father and I both tacitly avoided topics related to puberty. Perhaps my adoptive father noticed. So he brought back a kind neighbor aunt who taught me about menstruation. I focused all my energy on studying and successfully got into the best high school in the city. After the surgery, I almost never looked at the bullet comments again, until the start of high school. The male lead has appeared. This is interesting. This cannon fodder female supporting character is also at this high school. Originally she had no more scenes. On the first day of high school, I was looking for my class. Move aside. I turned at the sound and immediately recognized this person as the male lead, who could also be called my brother-in-law. He was stunningly handsome, exuding an aura that kept strangers at a distance, with a few admirers trailing far behind him. When encountering people, he never bothered to go around them, only arrogantly demanding they move aside. I should have less interaction with him. In reality, it seems I am indeed an unknown supporting female character. With not many scenes involving the male lead, according to the bullet comments, the male and female leads haven't met yet during high school. Since my sister's family already knows my whereabouts, they won't let her attend the same high school as me, so I didn't run into the male lead again for the rest of the semester. I only got a rough idea of his background from some gossipy female classmates. Song Yihung, whose family assets exceed $1 billion. Plans to study abroad for college and eventually take over the family business. Attending high school was just a formality, a transitional phase, so he skipped classes frequently, and no one dared to discipline him for sleeping in class. With wealth, leisure, and intelligence, he had countless admirers, yet none caught his eye. However, whether it's the male lead or the female lead, it has nothing to do with me. Right now, I am just an ordinary high school student. The old news and live streams have long been swallowed by the vast ocean of the internet. No one knows I once had a heart condition, no one knows I came from an orphanage, and no one knows my adoptive father used to be a homeless man living under a bridge. I have my own life to live. I need to study. I need to earn scholarships. As long as I work hard and stay grounded, get into a good university, put in the effort, and take my adoptive father away from this place, everything will come to an end. Then I can live a normal life. Unfortunately, I fought against fate, thinking I had already overcome the biggest hurdle. Little did I know, there were still treacherous human hearts. While getting food in the cafeteria, I bumped into the male lead, Song Yihung, and my soup spilled on his clothes. He rarely came to the cafeteria, and the one time he did, I happened to run into him. This coat costs 20,000. He said calmly. My heart sank. Forget it, you probably don't have much money. Take it to the dry cleaners, and when it's done, bring it to me in class 4, grade 12. Got it, I frowned. You were the one who suddenly backed up. He threw his coat onto my hands and Song Yihung walked away without looking back. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. The male lead is actually interested in this supporting female character. It's quite baffling, but maybe it's because she looks a bit like the female lead. No, wait. I remember the male lead had a white moonlight in high school. Seeing the words, white moonlight, my face paled a shade. I can guess who that is. She and Song Yihung are a perfect match, the goddess everyone talks about. Everyone thinks they are a perfect couple. The classmates around us cast strange glances, not wanting to stir up more trouble. I rolled up Song Yihung's jacket and hurried away. I sent the jacket to the dry cleaner and had a male classmate deliver it to Song Yihung, and avoided him at school. But the more you avoid something, the more it comes your way. After evening self-study, Song Yihung stopped me not far from the school gate. What are you avoiding? You're not thinking I tricked you into helping me wash my clothes, are you? I ignored him and kept walking with my head down. Song Yihung grabbed my hand. Hey, you're pretty interesting. I immediately shook off his hand and looked around. Worried that classmates might see, I turned into a quiet alley and motioned for Song Yihung to come over. Why, we're not in the same grade. We don't know each other, and it's just a piece of clothing. Why are you still looking for me now? I asked someone to return the clothes to you because I didn't want to have anything to do with you. Song Yihan clearly didn't expect me to be so direct. He looked a little embarrassed at first, then seemed to lose face. Ha! My family funds the entire school. Do I need a reason to come find you? I just don't want you to misunderstand and think I'm bullying you. I pondered. I'm not misunderstanding. I hope you won't look for me again in the future, and don't speak to me at school anymore. We don't know each other, okay? Song Yiheng sneered and said no. Reverse psychology. The male lead loves playing hard to get the most. Alright, I'll change my strategy. I'll back down, Song Yiheng. I just want to study quietly. I'm not like you. I know you're going abroad to study, and your future is bright. You're the center of attention at school, and you can have plenty of friends to hang out with, but I just want to keep a low profile, preferably without anyone noticing me, okay? I deliberately softened my voice when saying these two words, as if I were pleading with him. Song Yiheng felt embarrassed. Who do you think you are? He left in a fit of anger. I suspect it might be the influence of the script. Or perhaps because my sister and I do bear a striking resemblance, about 70% alike, that Song Yiheng couldn't help but be drawn to me, but he is the male lead for my sister, yet he is definitely my disaster star. I took a detour back home and spent the next few days in anxiety. Everything was calm. Just as I was secretly rejoicing, disaster still arrived. I walked into the classroom and took my seat as usual, but all my classmates were looking at me with strange expressions. And even some girls from other classes were whispering among themselves, something's off. I had a gut feeling that something was wrong, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Could it be that someone saw Song Yiheng talking to me and mistakenly thought we were dating? This is utterly absurd. I paid no attention and continued with my class. On my way home from evening self-study, I was suddenly drenched by a bucket of cold water. In autumn, I was only wearing a long-sleeved shirt. My figure was completely exposed after my long sleeves got wet. The person who splashed the water ran away, and I stood there in a daze, my mind completely blank. A kind male classmate handed me a jacket, and I hurriedly said thank you before heading home. In the following days, harsh voices continuously gathered from all around. I told you, it's her in the video. Her chest is just as big, exactly this big. Her father used to be a scavenger, now he's a security guard. How can a trash picker afford to attend our school? The post said she used to pick trash to pay for her education, so why doesn't she have to do that anymore? Because she's being kept, sleeping around for money. She and her dad aren't blood related. Who knows if there's something going on? He's so old, he probably can't do it anymore, right? Hahaha, someone dug up my past, used AI face swapping to create a video of me, and posted it online. Splashing water was just to let everyone see my figure and draw their attention. The audience was too busy reveling. No one wanted to find out what the truth was. The person who wrote this rumor also mixed in my past news, blending truth and falsehood. I don't understand why poverty, being adopted by a homeless person, or having once collected bottles should be shameful, but I know that at this moment, coming out to desperately prove myself is useless. This rumor is too explosive. And it has even affected my adoptive father. I came home from school and saw him looking a bit distracted. Someone had sent him that rumor. He was angry, but he felt helpless. Xiao Yu, don't let these baseless things affect your studies. If we stand upright, we have nothing to fear from a crooked shadow. As long as we remain pure and innocent, that's enough. He said this, but he still fell ill because of it. I agreed verbally, but in my heart, I thought, it's impossible. If I keep my head down, I'll always be the weak one, and the weak can only endure passively. Only by fighting back can I make people dare not spread rumors again. I knew everything was connected to Song Yiheng. To find the person spreading the rumors, I had to go through him. You said to pretend I don't know you. When I stopped Song Yiheng in the alley, he raised an eyebrow with a cold smile, but knowing my situation, he quickly dropped the annoying expression. I believe you're not that kind of person. But the rumors weren't started by me. The blame lies with the one who started it. I know it wasn't you, but it must be related to you. If it weren't for your brain, if I hadn't bumped into you, you wouldn't have come looking for me, and I wouldn't have been noticed. Song Yiheng blinked, cold as a ghost. So what? Even if it's true, I don't have to take responsibility, right? I sighed, deciding to appeal to reason and emotion first. What you saw is partly true. Song Yiheng's expression changed slightly. I grew up in an orphanage. If my adoptive father hadn't taken me in, I would have died. I scavenged for scraps to survive. I am currently receiving financial aid and had heart surgery just 3 years ago. We should never have been involved, and the rumors indeed didn't start because of you, but only you can help me. I spoke slowly and deliberately. Watching Song Yiheng's expression as I talked, he was wavering. But his mouth still had the firmness befitting a male lead. What does that have to do with me? Why should I help you? Great, I'm waiting. I took off my coat, revealing the outfit underneath, a sexy dress. I pursed my lips, still feeling a bit embarrassed. Then, with lightning speed, I placed Song Yiheng's hand on my waist and leaned in close to his face. What the hell are you doing? Song Yiheng's face instantly flushed red, then turned ugly, as if he had touched something dirty. And he recoiled sharply. I pointed in a direction and said, I placed a camera over there. Now you're also a party involved. How do you explain me standing here with you dressed like this? If you don't help me, I can't explain it clearly, so I might as well let it all go. Since I'm a slut with such a great figure, it's only reasonable that you've slept with me, right? Song Yiheng still sneered coldly. I launched my final attack. If you don't help me, tomorrow I'll spread the rumor that you like kissing my ass. Damn, that's truly vicious. Although this supporting female character isn't much, she does have some strange talents in certain areas. Song Yiheng's face darkened completely, but he agreed, I'm not actually that unscrupulous, but to make those who spread rumors pay the price. What's wrong with resorting to some extreme measures? The person who spread rumors about me is someone who likes Song Yiheng. I just had a few interactions with him, and this is how I'm treated. I not only want to find her, but I also want to send her to prison. I want to provoke her. I want Song Yiheng to help me trace the IP of the rumor monger and continue reposting that thread to boost its engagement. Then, I want Song Yiheng to pretend to like me. I still go to school every day amidst everyone's prying eyes and whispers, but I wear nice clothes under my uniform and take off my jacket once I leave the school gate. Song Yiheng started having lunch with me every day, occasionally buying me a bottle of water. We don't talk or do much else, just eat. And so, more than a week passed. Is it done yet? Enough already. I really can't stand the school cafeteria anymore. It should be soon. Did you get the IP address? Yes, we got it. But that alone isn't enough to convict someone. I read the post last night, and a new one has appeared. This version says the boss who's keeping me is a big fat pig, probably hoping Song Yiheng will see it and find me disgusting. It's almost time. Finally, one night after self-study class ended, I was dragged by 3 girls into a relatively remote restroom. I endured the pain of having my hair pulled, secretly turning on the voice recorder and sending a distress signal to Song Yiheng. The girl at the front had her hair tied in a high ponytail and looked very delicate. Was it you who seduced Song Yiheng? Big breasts, craving men. Do you even know who he is? Is he someone a poor, trash-picking wretch like you can touch? Don't you know that Song Yiheng and Qingwan are a couple? Qingwan, the white moonlight of Song Yiheng mentioned in the bullet comments. I didn't have the energy to think too much. My goal was to make her admit to spreading rumors herself. I pretended to be pitiful and acted like a green tea girl, saying that all of it was just rumors, that I had done nothing, and I didn't know why Song Yiheng liked me. The leader of the group laughed. Of course, I know you didn't do it. Next time, what kind of sugar daddy would you like? How about arranging a 50-year-old for you? Someone as old as your dad. I can't take it anymore. I started fighting back frantically, wrestling with all 3 of them, when Song Yiheng arrived. My face was still covered in blood, and I was in such a sorry state that I barely looked human. The police took all 3 of them away, and as the leader glared at me with a fierce look in her eyes, I mouthed a word to her with my lips, go, die, now. I submitted the evidence to the police, combined with the forwarded posts I had Song Yiheng arrange earlier. The data was sufficient for sentencing. The parents of the rumor monger are very wealthy but show little concern for her. After learning about this incident, they scolded and beat her. Her parents came to beg me, asking for my forgiveness. They said that if she were to be held accountable, it would not only affect her college entrance exam but also leave a stain on her life, preventing her from taking the civil service exam. The school stepped in to mediate, and even Song Yiheng came to persuade me, asking if I could show some leniency. They begged me while my adoptive father was still in the hospital. I rejected all threats, demands, and pleas, and sent the rumor mongers to prison. When it was all over, Song Yiheng was preparing to study abroad, and he said, "You're terrifying." I acted according to the law. The outcome is for the law to decide. She is the daughter of a prominent family. while I was once a pitiful soul who scavenged for scraps and slept under bridges, because she couldn't have what she loved, out of jealousy, she spread malicious rumors about me. Did she ever consider that this could also ruin someone's life? How many women have been brought to their knees by malicious rumors? The matter has come to a temporary close. I kept all of this from my adoptive father, allowing him to focus on recovering in peace. Life remains simple and frugal, but the successful counterattack has given me the strength to move forward courageously. Since then, no one at school has dared to provoke me, and I have been studying even harder than before. In the end, I was admitted to a good university. At university, I was discovered by a talent scout and took on a part-time job as a small-time actress. I don't have the script of a female lead, no overnight fame, nor exceptional acting skills. I ride the wave of short videos, taking on some minor roles. My adoptive father is already old, and I need to earn money quickly. With my first earnings, I took my adoptive father to Beijing. He was already over 70 years old at that time. He is a man of few words but upright and gentle. His eyes filled with fervor when he saw Tiananmen, saying he never thought he would have the chance to visit Beijing in his lifetime. I said, "Dad, you'll see, things will get better, I will grow up, and everything will get better too." By chance, I went on a business trip to Shanghai and stayed right next to the Grand Theater, while strolling after work. I passed by the theater entrance and saw the performance announcement of the famous pianist Zhou Ziyi. On the poster, Zhou Ziyi was wearing a blue gown adorned with sparkling diamonds, as if draping the entire galaxy over herself. Gazing at this face that bore a striking resemblance to mine, I was momentarily lost in thought. After all, in my memory, Zhou Ziyi was still the little sister in a white dress, clutching a teddy bear. Raindrops fell on my face, waking me up. I touched her face on the poster, then turned and ran away. Getting caught in the rain in this weather will make you catch a cold. I didn't go to see the performance. My sister and I never met. She might not know she has an older sister like me, but that's okay. Dear sister, this is already the best ending. You became a dazzling star on the stage. My adoptive father and I were also fortunate enough to cross the heavy mountains of fate. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.